Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is July 5th. James Pelton. James is somebody who's newer to me. I know that Piper and T-Shroom have gotten to meet him a little bit. I'm really excited for you guys to get to know him better. I want to get his take on some of these topics as well. So first of all, James, how are you doing today? How was your 4th of July?
Oh man, it was amazing. You know, I don't know if you guys anything like me, but we celebrated the 4th on the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. We'll probably still do a little bit today. So my voice is starting to go, but yeah, we've had a great time.
Before I get your take on crypto, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. From what I understand, you're not this like hedge fund kid. You didn't like just have all this money when you grew up. You were somebody who created a good amount of generational wealth from nothing. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your investment journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a software developer by trade. So I went to school for that, and then got really tired of working for other people. I started a company on e-commerce and made them $1 million in their first year. And they were like, "Oh, thank you. We'll take you out for lunch for that." And
Nice.
so I decided, you know what? I'm done writing software for other people. So I started my own company, sent out mass text messages. So I'm the cause of a lot of U.S. spam text messages, and I'm actually feel guilty about that contribution to society a little bit. But I started that business and grew that to, at 12 employees and 40,000 customers, and then sold that in 2020.
Wow.
Found my way to investing, started doing venture capital, real estate. I was, I'm going to be a real estate tycoon now, is kind of my thinking. Found my way to crypto, and I was like, wow, crypto, there's better returns. It's there's no tenants. I mean, you have to deal with project founders, but there's no tenants. And so once I got to crypto, never really looked back, and just wanted to start kind of sharing my journey with people. My wife was telling me, "Hey, I don't want to hear any more about your crypto projects. You're talking about it all the time." She said, "Start a YouTube channel." So I did that. So you can find me on YouTube, James Pelton, crypto, passive income. That's kind of what I focus on. Financial education, things like that. Not financial advice. So we get that out of the way. Yeah, financial nudgings. That's what I call them. So, and other than that, part-time pastor. I love Jesus. He's the center of a lot of what I do.
Amen.
So yeah, just love crypto. Love the decentralization. Little bit libertarian. Little bit, not anti-government, but a little bit anti-government. We'll say that. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
James, there is nothing that any politician ever says that is wrong. There's a reason why they were voted in, and we need to just blindly listen to what they say and agree with them, or else. Just kidding. That's not our stance.
Yeah, Tim, if you ever say that out loud again, I'm going to have to mute you. Just so you know.
The SEC, for example, we'll use that. Okay. But they say we're out to protect small investors, right? Like that's the goal of the SEC. We're trying to protect small investors. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's such a good thing. So there's all these venture capital deals that come my way. And if you're not an accredited investor, so if you don't have $1 million net worth, it's like you can't get into these investments. And I'm like, wow, these are like collateralized loans paying 25% a year. Why can like poorer people not get into these? It's like, well, it's to protect small investors. Then I'm in the Denver airport, and they have scratch ticket vending machines in the Denver airport. I'm like, well, if you're trying to protect small investors, get rid of the scratch ticket vending machines. Those are the worst thing that could happen to poorer people. So then I realized, oh wait, maybe they're not actually out to protect smaller investors.
We were talking about this a little bit pre-show, me and Piper and T-Shroom. We're a crypto channel, we're an investment channel. We want to be able to cover stocks and stuff too. I mean, like you said, James, like something I want to do in the future, and that's one of the reasons why we chose the channel name Investing Bros, not Crypto Bros or Trading Bros or anything. I want to get involved in real estate and just learn to invest and make money for my family and for others as well. Like you, we love Jesus. I'm a very big believer in the concept of, I'm not a prosperity gospel type person, but I do think there's some biblical knowledge of like, hey, when you care about others and you surround yourself with others and you honor and glorify God with your blessings, he blesses you with more. Even more so, as we talk about the political side of it, there's a concept for the longest time. I've been now doing crypto YouTube stuff for about 3 years. Roughly. And what we always tried to stay away from the political. We always try to say, you know what, we're just going to talk about crypto. We're just going to talk about price action. We're getting to a point, James, where we have to, as a crypto investor, you have to be dabbling in the political world. It's an all-out war at this point. I mean, half of our government currently is actively trying to remove our abilities and rights to be investing and making income with crypto. It's one of those things that we'll move on here into some other topics, but I love everything you've talked about so far, and I agree with you.
And it's important that we kind of educate people because, at least here in the States, we have the power to vote people in, right? And so I think it's good to educate people. I'm not anti-government. I'm just anti some of the things the government's doing right now. And so, but we can inform, hey, you guys are voters. Here are some of the issues I think that you should be looking at. I think you should be looking at, is the SEC actually trying to help people, and look for political candidates who are going to help us in the future.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump in here, James. I want to start off with, in what ways are you looking to invest your money with these new updates of these spot ETFs and Coinbase partnership? Yeah.
Good question. Yeah. So I've spent a lot of time in traditional markets, right, where the big money players are the ones who move things around. And so it's kind of a little bit bittersweet to see some of these big money people finding their way into crypto. It's obviously sweet because it's like, okay, BlackRock, maybe they bring another 500 billion into the crypto market, which is, half the total market cap that's there right now. And so it's like, well, that would be good. More money coming into all these investments I'm holding on to, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, all these things. That would probably be good, having more capital come in. The other side, I'm very concerned, just keeping an eye on, because I know how traditional markets, how big money has affected them. So I'm just keeping an eye on that, and just, I don't want the crypto market to turn into the traditional markets. Cautiously optimistic about that. New capital coming in is exciting, and we'll see how some of this regulation stuff turns out. I think one thing we're going to see, Bitcoin dominance continue to go up. I think this is going to help Bitcoin and possibly Ethereum a lot more than it's going to help altcoins, because like these ETFs that are coming, none of them are going to be altcoin ETFs, at least for a while. That's just not what we're going to see. They're going to be Bitcoin ETFs. So if BlackRock brings in $200 billion, it's going to be in Bitcoin and possibly Ethereum. So I think that's one thing to just keep in mind, is we've always seen when Bitcoin pumps, everything else pumps with it. I think we might see Bitcoin dominance start to go up as it's considered, a viable alternative asset. I think that's one thing that we're going to see. So I am excited about that. I don't know how I feel about Coinbase. I don't like the government getting involved. That's always been the beauty of Bitcoin, is, okay, crypto's over here doing its thing, the government can go do its thing. And honestly, we've seen the government kind of ruin the dollar. We've seen them ruin the markets. And I don't know. I would rather they just kind of stay away. I kind of liked it more when it was crypto out doing its own thing. So we'll see. We'll see. And who knows if it's possible for big money to manipulate it. They want to. But, that's kind of one of the goals with Bitcoin, is it's programmatically, you're not able to print more. You're not able to control it the way that you might financial markets. 60-70% of Bitcoin is already being held by people, and they don't have to sell it. We'll see where it goes. But one thing I would recommend is, even if you don't agree with some of the things going on, you don't want the government involved, things like that, still keep an eye on things, because you can make money even on things you don't agree with. Like, I don't like necessarily the government and BlackRock and all these ETFs getting in, but it's like, well, I can make some money on Bitcoin in the meantime. So that's kind of my take. But yeah, Bitcoin number one for me. I do really like Ripple. It seems like banks are opening up to the idea of crypto, and it seems like they're not going to be able to build their own technology that easily. And so it seems like Ripple's kind of a natural partner for a lot of these banks. And then Ethereum, I think Ethereum's terrible. I try not to do anything on Ethereum, but it is established. So that's kind of where I think we're at.
James, I think there's something you said there. It's really true. And I've kind of had this internal wrestling with, the government getting there. The government touches anything and they turn it to absolute poop. But my belief, I honestly think that when it comes to the likes of Bitcoin, don't get me wrong, there is a level that if the government controlled this much of it, this many aspects of it, especially if they control the mining of it, which is one of the reasons why we need to be very outspoken against some of these proposals that the U.S. government and other governments around the world are making in terms of regulating mining. Ultimately, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get it to where they're the only miners. We need to keep the mining decentralized. I think the more centralized the actual coins are being held, the less valuable. So there's not really an incentive for them to do that. You need it to spread out so it has value. And in that way, as much as I don't love when the government puts their hands on things, could Bitcoin be a Trojan horse that the world has been looking for in the financial world? I mean, is that maybe going to be the brilliance of Satoshi Nakamoto? When he created it, obviously it was an anti-fiat currency, anti-centralized currency creation. Was it a Trojan horse the whole time? It's like, hey, eventually the governments are going to get their hands on it because they're going to see the value. It's going to implode from the inside because they can't control it. The only way they can control it is if they control the mining. And I think there are still efforts out there. Here's the other good thing that I think we've talked about on the show before. Could we even see governments around the world like Russia, like China, like the US, like other major nations, is there a little bit of a wrestling of the governments have to start mining it just to keep it from another country owning the majority? Because that's where clearly America wants the majority of it, but so is China's going to want it, and Russia, and those countries don't all get along. So what's the way to keep each one country from getting too much power? If every country, if every government is holding it in their backings, if they're mining it, the decentralization wins, and we as the people win. I am curious to see, and maybe I'm going to get your take on this one, because I love this topic we kind of stumbled onto. Do you think that Bitcoin could be transacted on the regular basis, or do you think we're going to find some other currency for that?
I think we're going to find some other currency. I think it's going to be store of value. Lightning Network works great, but I think, well, at least in the States, and it's going to vary, country to country. Each country, one thing that other countries are seeing is as the US kind of cracks down on crypto, we can loosen on crypto and we'll get US companies to come here. I've spent a lot of time in Dubai, and the UAE has really found out, hey, we can get a lot of people to come here by just being loose on regulations, loose on taxes. US very heavy on taxes, very heavy on regulation. And so, if the world governments were all united on, hey, let's take control of this, then I think there might be more trouble with that. But I think the US alone, if they crack down, hey, we want to take all the miners, we're going to kill mining in the USA. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm working with a number of projects where they just moved to Argentina. They just moved to Paraguay, and they're going to do their mining there. And I'm seeing more and more of that. And you get cheaper electricity down there. You can go to Paraguay, get 3 cents a kilowatt hour electricity. Wow. And it's going to be hard for US miners to compete with that. Honestly, I think the US is kind of shooting themselves in the foot, which, Second Amendment, that's fine. You can do that in the US and no problem. But yeah, there you go. Hey, I need that symbol on my Stream Deck here. That'd be great. Yeah. I think they're going to do their best. But yeah, I don't think you can transact. That's not why Bitcoin was designed, was to transact in that way. So Lightning Network works great, but the government's going to have to get on board with that. And I don't think they ever will. So they're going to want to create their own CBDC so they can tax it. They can limit you if you have too much carbon. You lit off too many fireworks. They saw, hey, you spent $2,000 on fireworks. That's too much carbon emission. You're done for the month, and things like that. They're going to want to do, but I think it's going to be a great store of value going forward. So that's my personal take.
Going back to the Dubai and UAE thing, who would have thought? Who would have thunk it that if you lower taxes and lower regulation, that you could have a thriving, booming economy? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, who knew?
I was under the impression.
I would have never guessed that. Yeah. I thought restriction would make things explode more, but yeah, I guess I was wrong. Learn something new.
Gosh. Before we go, I want to get your take. I know you talked about Bitcoin, you talked about XRP. We're very bullish on both of those projects, obviously long term. If you could give me, I don't care if it's a stock that you're liking, I don't care if it's a stable coin because you think everything's about to go down. Give me 3 more cryptos or investment opportunities that you are loving right now that you're not recommending to anyone because we're not financial advisors. You're just saying, hey, these are 3 things that I really like, and it's not called Bitcoin or Ripple. What is that?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, the big 2, if anyone asks me, hey, I want to get into crypto, what should I do? That's always the number one thing I tell people. It's the simplest. It's the safest. That's what I say. You already mentioned Ripple. Really big on that. Ethereum, even though terrible technology, it's where a lot of the big money is. It's considered safe for one reason or another. So, I mean, the next ETFs that come out, probably going to, Ethereum seems like a natural next step. As for like altcoins, I say look for things that actually are doing something. So someone tweeted a little while ago, if blockchain technology went away, who would be affected? And I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, really nobody. Like, it's really not doing anything in the real world in a way that would affect anyone if it went away. So I've been looking for projects that are using the blockchain to do new things that couldn't be done without the blockchain. So I really like the DAG constellation. Is an altcoin, and these are very low market caps, so they're going to be super volatile. So again, you're not going to 1000x on Bitcoin because it's too high. You might 10x. You could maybe 100x eventually, but it's going to be hard to get big gains with Bitcoin. So it's going to be kind of safer, lower returns. But then some of these altcoins like Constellation DAG, they're building an ecosystem of just projects using the hypergraph, a little bit different than blockchain. That's another topic for another day, to do a lot of really cool things. BioFi, 600K market cap that I've been working with, and They're putting biometrics on the blockchain in really interesting ways. They're working on, in Africa, one biometric scan, one vote to get rid of voter fraud in Africa. They're just doing a lot of really cool things that I think could change the way things are done. If you just look at the Constellation ecosystem, there's a ton of projects on there that are actually doing something. Genico is looking to put your health data on the blockchain so that you can sell it if you'd like to, rather than your doctor or whatever giving that information to pharmaceutical companies. There's a lot of money around your info, and a lot of what Constellation's doing is putting that on the blockchain and making you own your data rather than the other companies. So if I had to name just a couple, I would say DAG is the coin name, BioFi, Genico. Those are just a few of them. And then, I really like, for passive income plays, I'm a big fan of a lot of these like mining NFTs. If you don't want to buy your own Bitcoin miner or your own Cadena miner or something like that, there's a lot of new projects that are spinning up where, hey, buy an NFT for $500 and you're a part owner now of a, S7 miner. I would have you take a look at Alpha Shares is one, Fraction Miner. There's a whole bunch of different mining companies like that. But that's what I'm kind of biggish on right now.
Dude, that's awesome. James, it has been a pleasure having you on here, man. I know we got to go because we got to go into other stuff, but I want to get you back on really soon. I would love to even do a longer, maybe pre-recorded interview and get into some more details of our thoughts on crypto in general, but also more. We didn't even get to really dive into all the passive income stuff, which I know you're really big on. So we'll get you back on here soon and talk more about that. Great to meet you. Great having you on here, man. You have a great day. We'll talk again soon.
My knowledge level is here. My opinion level is here. So always happy to come and talk about things that I am not qualified to talk about. So yeah, anytime, let me know.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, James.
Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Great job. Now, if you want more content like this, whether it be TA on Bitcoin and Ethereum or altcoins, or you just want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest news in crypto, then stay tuned and tune in to our 9 a.m. live show every single weekday morning. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you tune in live, use the keyword grip strength in the chat, and you'll get a special shout out from anyone who's paying attention to the chat. Love to see you there.